Hello! Today we will be talking about Filipino values and moral development, together with strengths and weaknesses of the Filipino character. The strengths in the Filipino character involves pakikipagkapwa-tao, family orientation, joy and humor, flexibility, adaptability, and creativity, hard work and industry. Faith and religiosity. Filipinos have faith in God. And another, faith and religiosity. And the last one, ability to survive. In pakikipagkapwa-tao, it is the basic sense of justice and fairness, concern for others, and ability to empathize with others, sensitivity to people's feelings or pakikiramdam, pagtitiwala or trust, sense of gratitude, or utang na loob, which is common to us Filipinos. Very dependent on interpersonal relationships give sense of security. As you can see, we are so particular with our circle of friends or with to our families. And lastly is the camaraderie and a feeling of closeness to one another. The second is family orientation. Family orientation or source of personal identity, emotional and material support, and one's main commitment and responsibility. Ability to empathize with other. We can say that it is a source of personal identity because when you visit a town or when your family is known to a town or a barrio, they would they would ask you, whose child are you? Or anak ka ni, anak ka ni kuan, quote unquote. And next is joy and humor. Filipinos have a cheerful and fun-loving approach to life and its ups and downs. Pleasant disposition, a sense of humor, and propensity for happiness that contribute not only to the Filipino charm but also to the indomitability of the Filipino spirit. In the most trying times, I, we Filipinos would always find way to be happy or to find joy in the most simplest thing. Like, for example, as a student, we all undergo stress, depression, anxiety, but we don't let that win us. Instead, we find way to what do I call this one? We find way to I forgot the term. Okay, to have ourselves be entertained and be happy. And the next one is flexibility, adaptability, and creativity. Basic sense of justice and fairness. It is not right. No, no, no. It says here that adaptability and where is that? It says here. Sorry. They are creative, resourceful, quick learners, can improvise and make use of whatever is at hand in order to create and produce. For example, during the any type of typhoon or calamity, or let's say for example during the Bagyong Odette, the Cebuanos didn't look for the where is the president, where is the instead we, hand in hand, find ways for us to survive from day to day living till the operation of the electricity, water, and all sorts of transportation is back to normal. Next is hard work and industry. We have the capacity for hard work given proper conditions to raise one's standard of living and possess the essentials of a decent life for one's family. We are willing to take the risk with jobs abroad and while there to work at 2 or 3 jobs. We Filipinos are known for being hardworking. We have to juggle works, work and study to sustain our dream or possess the dream that we've been aiming. And another example is the OFWs. Most of our parents or relatives would go abroad to provide the basic necessities of their family here. And the next is faith and religiosity. Since Philippines is a Roman Catholic country, it is natural for us to be religious, which enables us to comprehend and genuinely accept reality in the context of God's will and plan. If based on me, based on me, based on what I have seen, mostly of the students when we're about to take a prelim, midterm, or final exam, we would usually go to Santo Niño to light a candle there for our intention to pass the exam. Or if the Cebuano would like to take a licensure exam, mostly of them are devoted and would go to Santo Niño to light a candle for their own intentions. And lastly, of the strengths of the Filipino character is the ability to survive. Filipinos have an ability to survive and do with what is available in the environment, which means in our ability to survive, we involve God. We involve God to guide us to provide our basic necessities on whatever is available resources in our surroundings. Now, let's move on to the weaknesses in the Filipino character. The weaknesses in the Filipino character involves extreme personalism, which is there are two by the way. The other one is extreme family centeredness, the lack of discipline, passivity and lack of initiative, colonial mentality, kanya-kanya syndrome, lack of self-analysis and self-reflection. So, what is extreme personalism? Extreme personalism is that Filipinos view the world in terms of personal relationship. Filipinos view the world in terms of personal relationships, no separation between an object, task, and emotional involvement. The nearest example is this: when there are two child having this conflict, a parent would step in, which is not right because if that is what do you call this one? That is a conflict between a child and a child. Let them resolve it themselves, not uh, not that you would be like, ba't mo ginaganyan ang anak ko? No, that's wrong. It should be, let the children resolve the conflicts. You can be the bigger person, but don't interfere the conflict by adding more fuel to the fire, which will result into a bigger chaos within the circle. And The next is extreme family-centeredness. Excessive concern for the family creates an in-group to which the Filipino is firstly loyal to the detriment of concern for the larger community for the common good. Uh, Based on personal experience, since I am a working student, I finance myself and my parents have their own wages or salary, but it always ends up that they would ask money for me to buy whatever is need to be provided in our house or in our home, which is not right, but because I am still their child, I am still their daughter, and they should be the one providing for my needs, not me providing for them, since they don't contribute any single peso to whatever of my expenses here in Cebu. And the next is the lack of discipline. The lack of discipline is that the Filipinos lack discipline. It manifests in a casual and relaxed attitude towards time and space, which manifests itself in lack of precision, compulsiveness, in poor time management, and procrastination. I would take myself as an example when the class activities pours and they piled up one by one, they piled up. I would end up into procrastinating, which means I race for the deadline. I do it when I can say they do tomorrow, which is not good, not a good example or not a good practice as a college student. It will deteriorate your mental health and it will deteriorate your motivation to accomplish a task. And the next is passivity and lack of initiative. We Filipinos are generally passive and lacking in initiative. I can say is during the pandemic, the first wave of pandemic, we never plant vegetables or anything that can be good for us. And in the middle of pandemic, during the distribution of ayudas, which is unhealthy because it is canned goods or instant noodles that is unhealthy to us. We need vitamins from the fruits and vegetables. We need to consume vitamins to strengthen our immune system. We then realize that we Filipinos are passive, very passive, because we only realize the importance of one thing if we are already in the middle of chaos. The next is colonial mentality. These Filipinos have colonial mentality which is made up of two dimensions. The first is lack of patriotism or an active awareness, appreciation and love of the Philippines. The second is an actual preference for things foreign. I can always attest to that we Filipinos what do this? Patronize imported goods, like I'll buy this one because this is made of Gucci, I'll buy this one, this is a brand of Chanel, or I'll buy this one because it is imported from abroad. Instead of supporting our own business, our own products from the Philippines, we tend to look to it is imported, it is way better than what the Filipinos have produced. That is one of our colonial mentality. Then this one is kanya-kanya syndrome, or the Filipinos have selfish, self-serving attitude that generates a feeling of envy and competitiveness toward others, particularly one's peers who seem to have gained some status or prestige. The nearest example of this is that in your clan or in your circle of relatives, when one is reaching the top, before you reach the top, diba, they would always say, "Oh, you can make it to college. You can be a professional someday. Your low status can make you a professional or successful." But once you reach the top, they would always find fault in you to bring you down. It seems that it is a better taste to their mouth when you are being on the top or you are achieving your goals and ambitions in life. And the next is lack of self-analysis and self-reflection. And this portion of weakness of the Filipino character, there is a tendency in the Filipino to be superficial and even somewhat flighty in the face of serious problems, both personal and social. There is a lack of analysis or reflection. The nearest example of this is that I would take myself as an example. During junior high, I I have faced this situation where I have to decide if I'll face it or I'll take a flight. Instead of facing the problem, I ran away from home. And by running away from home, now I realize that that's not how it should be done. I should have faced the problem, resolve it there, and instead of running away from home and spending my 5 years here in Cebu. So maybe this ends the topic about Filipino values and moral development. Thank you for listening. This is presented by Liagas Crystal Kate, a BS Ed 2 college student. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.